also send their
Hello and many thanks for joining us on Nationwide on the NTA. I am Ifoma Ojenta, and we begin with legislative matters. Senate has passed for second reading the 2024 Appropriation Act Amendment Bill 2024, transmitted by President Tinubu for approval. Senate granted the bill expeditious consideration as it captures funding for the national minimum wage and key infrastructure renewed hope projects omitted in the 2024 budget. The amendment is to make provisions of additional funds for recurrent and capital expenditure worth trillions of naira. Meanwhile, Senator Mohammed Tahir Mungunu has been appointed the majority whip of the Senate following the removal of Muhammad Ali Ndume. The removal of Ndume was sequel to a communication to the Senate from the national leadership of the APC, in which it expressed displeasure over unsubstantiated claims against the federal government by Senator Ndume during a recent interview on a television station.
His uncouth and rabid outbursts against the governments before the international community and before the global community is not only harmful to the government's image alone, but also undermines the party's unity and cohesion.
Meanwhile, the Senate says additional legislations are expected towards achieving full range of quality health services in the federal tertiary health institutions, which includes the teaching hospitals. Chairman Senate Committee on Secondary and Tertiary Health Institutions, Ipalibo Banigo, said this during an inspection tour of the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Teaching Hospital, Bauchi. Abdullahi Aminu reports.
Under the chairmanship of Senator Banigo, the committee members critically examined all the working processes by the teaching hospital. The committee also inspected key departments, which include the male surgical ward.
They have actually done well for the 2023 budget. There are some other activities that have to come up on the 2024 budget, such as the renovation of the wards and maternity units and the maternity complex that is coming up.
After the evaluation, the Senate committee interfaced with the management of the hospital on the possible solutions to some identified challenges.
The topography of this hospital actually is something that making us to have inadequate water supply during the dry season. So what we have agreed and then promised to do something about that. Other things about the manpower, we need more staff to cater for the volume of patients we are seeing.
The 10th Senate Committee on Health, we know how we are going to put this together and make sure this hospital continues to give expert services.
As one of the leading teaching hospitals in Nigeria, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Teaching Hospital, Bauchi, has gone far in the area of research on various ailments in the country. In Bauchi, Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
Perform or step aside. This is a new marching order to all players in the power sector as federal government says it is determined to improve electricity supply. At the inaugural meeting of Power Sector Working Group, Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu says With the performance contracts bond signed by all heads of agencies in the sector, there will be no room for excuses or blame game, as everyone is expected to deliver. The Power Minister tasked agencies and industry players to work in synergy for optimal results. With the present administration's target to ramp up generation, strengthened capacity of the grid and ultimately ensure availability of electricity to end users, the Power Minister says performance of agencies in the sector is key in achieving the set targets.
But that is left out, which is why we are signing this performance bond today. And I'm happy at the enthusiasm, at the response of everybody involved here today, which gives me some level of assurance and confidence that our overall targets will be achieved. Just like the performance delivery is top down, reward will also be top down on achievement. Then sanction too will be top down.
And talking security now, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, is giving officers and men of the armed forces serving in the Niger Delta 2 weeks to end crude oil thefts. He says, though President Bola Tinubu has given 6 months, he believes with a change of attitude, it is possible to end crude oil theft speedily and stop the continuous bleeding of the critical resources of the country. He is emphatic that anyone found culpable will not be spared. He made this known at a security stakeholders meeting with Ministers of State Petroleum Resources, Oil Group Chief Executive Officer NNPC Limited, and the Authority Chief Executive Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, with security heads of Operation Delta Save and the Niger Delta region at the 6th Division Nigerian Army Headquarters, Port Harcourt. The Chief of Defense Staff says meeting government target of 2.5 million barrels per day must be realized speedily. The meeting is ongoing behind closed doors as journalists await the outcome. Nigerian Navy units across the nation's maritime domain have foiled a trafficking attempt, rescuing 8 females aged 18 to 23 years. In a statement, Naval Director of Information, Commodore Adams Aliyu, notes that operations from 9 to 13 July 2024 also led to the rescue of 2 drowning fishermen and the arrest of 8 male stowaways. Additionally, a sea robbery attempt was foiled within the same period, giving assurance that there is no hiding place for criminal elements in the maritime domain. The Nigerian Navy says this is only a tip of the iceberg, as it will sustain the tempo to keep Nigerian waters safe and secure for legitimate economic activities. Now, following the Saints Academy School building collapse in Jos, the Nigerian Building and Road Research Institute wants all regulatory agencies of government to be proactive at ensuring that proper monitoring and evaluation are done on all structures. This is a message from the Director General of the Institute, Professor Samson Duna. Caleb Goching has the details.
Interacting with victims of the incident, Professor Duna said the Institute is deeply concerned about the rate at which buildings collapse in the country, which also necessitated the setting up of an investigation committee into the Jos mishap. The Institute, he notes, has been involved in looking into causes of the many incidences recorded across the nation, and in many cases, those involved in the constructions compromised on many fronts.
A building does not fail in terms of what we call ultimate failure. We have what we call ultimate and serviceability failure. When a building stays for long without a particular part shows sign of distress before it fails. I'm sure this building that has failed, there must have been sign of distress. It's just that there was no attention on it. I would like the government to set up a team to carry out an inspection to identify buildings that are distressed, so that actions can be taken on them before it becomes a calamity to human life.
Members of the pen profession raised some concerns as well as made inputs on how to address the menace. The Institute's DG led his team to the school site for an on-the-spot assessment. In Jos, Caleb Gochin, NTA News.
And we have Caleb standing by in Jos live to tell us more on this. Hello, Caleb.
All right, thank you very much, studio. We are here at the site of the collapsed school, and what is going on now is that the owners are trying to salvage whatever that is left here. And we learn the Jos Metropolitan Development Board came and brought down all the other structures that were standing. So nothing is standing here as at now of the school, that collapsed. So the NIBRI is in Jos to see to what really happened. So they are investigating what really happened, what caused it, and they have addressed the press. The chairman of that investigation committee is here with us, and they have started work already. So I'm sure he'll be able to tell us what really happened from what they have seen so far. So Professor Frederick Job is here with us. So Prof, I'm sure you've started your job already. So what really would you have to say to Nigerians of what happened here?
All right. What really happened was simply a collapse of a building. And that building happened to be a two-story building. It was an idea, or really, it was mainly a quackery work that was done. Poor workmanship was done, and we had started work since Saturday last week, and we exposed 3 foundations, and we observed that those foundations that we exposed, two of them do have baskets, that is reinforcement baskets, while the third one had none. And incidentally, that third pit that we exposed was that particular one where the building collapsed. The building collapsed from that point. We also observed that some of the reinforcement that were used were substandard. And not that only, in terms of the dimensions, that is the thickness of the reinforcement, some of them did not meet what it should be. Take for instance, the stirrups. Using stirrups of 6 mm is very, very inadequate. And not that only, even the spacing of the stirrups were not supposed to be. We observed that the starter bars which they used were diameter 16, which was very appropriate for columns. But continuing the foundation, we observed that it was diameter 12 that was used, which was totally not adequate.
Okay. That's all right.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry, as important as this information is, we have to just let it be for now. But I think all these things are being done to curtail a reoccurrence. So, back to the studio. God bless.
Thank you very much, Caleb. Now, a group known as the National Progressive Coalition has called on Nigerians to continue to give maximum support to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his transformation programs. The group, made up of persons from various geopolitical zones, expressed confidence in the policies of the federal government and advised Nigerians to condemn and disregard any planned protests by a group it described as faceless. It highlighted the dangers of uncoordinated protests, especially now that President Bola Tinubu is working assiduously to address the nation's challenges.
Nation say no to protest. Nigeria is the giant of Africa and the leading nation in the continent. We must recognize our leadership role, the potentials and endowment of our dear country. We must not allow miscreants to hijack the protests, to unleash mayhem to our dear country at these trying times. NSAS protest is still fresh in our mind and memory, which left behind wanton destruction, displacement and agony. Many properties and lives were lost. We must give peace a chance to right the wrong. two wrongs do not make a right. We must engage and adopt appropriate approach that will promote peace, stability, and prosperity.
It is no longer news that strengthening early warning systems, enhancing emergency response capabilities, and concerted efforts of both government and individuals are crucial in mitigating the impacts of flooding. Abiola Ario visited some flood-prone areas in Akure, Ondo State to ascertain the level of preparedness of residents to this annual occurrence.
Following the Nigerian Meteorological Agency NIMET prediction that there would be more rainfall in 2024 and likelihood of serious flooding in 31 states, including Ondo State, NTA News visited some flood-prone areas in Akure, the state capital, to ascertain the level of preparedness of residents to this prediction. Enyala is one of such communities.
We have tried by ourselves to labor ourselves by parking this Ala River. So because of that, we are happy that the flood was not too much trouble this year, like last year.
Right now, we are preparing the sandbox to put it there that anybody that drop anything, that place to make the river not be flowing, that anything we can do or we handle the person to the government.
They should pack their dirty items somewhere and let the environmental people come and pick them up. They should not throw it into the canals, so the canals won't be blocked.
All our channels that have been blocked across the state have commenced the evacuation of all the channels.
Residents, however, called for the need for sustainable urban planning, proactive measures, and collective responsibilities towards safeguarding the state against future flood events. In Akure, Abiola Rio, NTA News.
And joining us live from Akure is Paul Omukago to tell us more on measures put in place by government and citizens to mitigate the impacts of flooding in the state now and in the years to come. Hello, Paul, you're on.
Okay, what the state government has done so far is ensuring that all blocked canals and drainages are open throughout the state. And some of the communities, like where we are right now, Eyala community, the community members here are personally involved in clearing the drains and also in sensitizing the people not to dump refuse on the canal and other drainages within the community. That is what they have done so far, and also they are also looking at the possibility of penalizing those that default. Defaulters will be penalized because there are already existing laws, sanitary laws, to guide the people on what government will do in case any one of them default. So the opening of the drainages and of course major canals is not just on the part of government. The citizens in such areas are also playing their part in the sense that they are on the lookout of ensuring that the canals are free of refuse, the canals are flowing freely, and because the whole process by the government is, I think, is in segments. Where we are now, for instance, now from the background you can see that we have overgrown weeds, and it is part of the plan of government to also extend the ongoing canalization or opening up of canals to this community. So those are the measures they put in place so far.
All right, thank you very much, Paul, for that update. And from Akure, we move over to our Lagos Network Center for more on Nationwide.
Very much, Ifoma. The Joint Committee of the National Assembly on the review of the 1999 Constitution is engaging the judiciary on specific issues bordering on improving citizens' access to justice while enhancing public trust. At a sectoral meeting in Lagos, the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, said as a follow-up to financial autonomy for local governments, the committee should equally be interested in the conduct of elections at the grassroots by the various states' independent electoral bodies. Michael Olaleye has the report.
As preludes to the review of the 1999 Constitution, this sectoral engagement with the judiciary is anchored around the fact that the third arm of government is the last hope of the common man, and enhancing its efficiency in the dispensation of justice will strengthen democratic governance.
The end of this engagement, the input of the judiciary will be well harvested, and a better constitution that will pursue the justice for everyone in Nigeria will be drafted.
The Minister of Justice wants the committee to leap above the ritual practice of review to more impactful issues that will foster national prosperity. It called for better insight into electoral matters as they affect the local governments.
Aside the notorious fact that the ruling party usually sweeps all the available chairmanships and councillorship seats, there have been unfortunate instances where opposition candidates who manage, and I say straight, to emerge winners are not sworn into office. There is also the need to introduce measures to ensure uniformity and security of tenure for local government officials across the country.
The committee agreed to come up with inclusive constitution that will truly reflect the values and aspirations of the country.
There is a need for us to think out of the box with a view to, through constitutional amendment frameworks, bring an amendment by way of creating special seats for women.
We will continue in the process, but we've had challenges. The greatest challenge that we have faced in the amendment of the Constitution has always been from the state houses of assembly.
It is believed that the inclusion of Conference of State Assembly Speakers will assist the committee to come up with acceptable and effective resolutions. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
Leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, ASUP, has urged the National Board for Technical Education and the federal government to withdraw the recently released new scheme of service for polytechnics in the country. The union made this position known at the Zone C Mobilization and Sensitization Conference to align with the position of the National Executive Council on the 15-day ultimatum for withdrawal of the new scheme. Joao Pokuola has the report.
Nigeria's education sector, particularly the polytechnics, have been experiencing a age-free academic calendar, but this may change with the leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics and the National Board for Technical Education at loggerhead over the new scheme of service. The Congress of ASUP Zone C, which comprises states in the southwest, according to ASUP president, is to reject what it regards as a document that will further undermine the role of polytechnics in the country's educational system. The union affirmed that industrial harmony will no longer be guaranteed if the new scheme is not abolished.
The MBTE, upon release of the scheme of service, wrote that the scheme of service should be implemented. And this scheme of service, as we have highlighted, is full of irregularities. A 15-day ultimatum has been issued. After the expiration of this ultimatum, the National Executive Council of our union, where that decision was taken, we will reconvene, we will review and take further decision.
ASUP president and other speakers say there are several clauses in the new scheme of service that contradict the Federal Polytechnics Act.
The manner in which the dichotomy is about to be stretched in the sector, and the way and manner in which policymakers look at the sector, especially with regards to funding and other things, is threatening the future of the Polytechnic.
Major areas of contention includes extension of career path for lecturers, limitation of HND holders in the Polytechnic, and other grey areas. In Lagos, Joel Ukwola, NTA News.
And those are reports from Lagos for now. We will rejoin Ifoma in Abuja for the continuation of Nationwide after this break. Please stay with us.
Thanks for staying tuned. Now, 48,000 farmers from the 21 local government areas in Kebbi State have received 3 free bags of fertilizers, pesticides and improved seedlings each to boost food production in the state. The target is to beat the high cost of food in the country by producing more. Correspondent Abdul Jalil Mohammed Bawa reports.
Kebbi State, known for its significant contributions to rice and crop production in the country, has taken a stride towards enhancing the productivity of its farmers in the state. Governor Nasir Idris, in recognition of the importance of agricultural development, launched the Kaura KS program aimed at boosting the morale of 48,000 farmers in the state. Under this initiative, each benefiting farmer received 3 sacks of fertilizers, improved seedlings, and pesticides free of charge. This effort seeks to improve yield and empower farmers to contribute meaningfully to the state economy.
We calculate the amount of this, it's even more than 200 or 300,000. Food is scarce, and the only way that we can solve the problem of scarcity is by production.
Governor Idris believes that the bumper yield will not only cushion the food crunch, but have a ripple effect which will address poverty, insecurity, and unemployment in the state and in the country at large.
I directed the security agencies to put their eyes on ground and watch and do surveillance to ensure that nobody, no individual, no group of people found in the market selling this fertilizer.
The distribution, which has commenced, is being conducted by local government council and supervised by the Ministry of Agriculture. In Birnin Kebbi, Abdul Jalil Mohammed Bawa, NTA News.
Nigerian youths should not take part in any activity capable of destroying their country, as government is making efforts to address socio-economic and other challenges facing the country. This is a view expressed by speakers at a symposium organized by the Alumni Faculty of Arts, Ahmadu Bello University Chapter. Suraj Abdullahi reports.
Youth are not leaders of tomorrow. They are our leaders now. The world must get used to that idea.
These form the basis for this symposium, where speakers share constructive perspectives and insights with the youth to address them with passion for patriotism and their contribution to the national development. With the theme, Role of Youth in National Development, Economy, Security and Stability, guest speakers Dr. Aladi Bagu, former Director General of National Broadcasting Commission, and Habiba Muhammad, Director for Center for Girls Education, Zaria, highlighted areas of achievements at both government and private sectors levels that the youth should leverage to enhance their well-being, discouraging them from being used as agents of underdevelopment to foment restiveness.
I think that we need to communicate more with the youths. We need to convince them that these things are possible, for the simple reason that in the past, whenever government makes promises, sometimes the promises are not fulfilled. We need to explain to them now that this is a different government that will fulfill those promises.
The presentation seems to have impacted on the youth gathered, as it turns out to be an opportunity to cross-fertilize ideas and share thoughts on how to prepare development amidst challenges. From Zaria, Suraj Abdullahi, NTA News.
Time now to go over to our Jos Network Center for more reports on Nationwide with Mary as our guide. Hello, Mary.
Ifoma, good evening and many thanks for joining us in Jos. Wife of Plateau State Governor Helen Mutfwang is challenging building contractors not to compromise quality to save lives. She was speaking during the visit to victims of school building collapse in various hospitals in Jos. Ijama Ozemena reports.
Since the incident precisely last Friday, sympathizers and government officials have been visiting survivors of the incident in health institutions in Jos. The latest is the wife of Plateau State Governor Helen Mutfan, accompanied by top government functionaries. Her first port of call was Plateau State Specialist Hospital, where she was conducted round by the Chief Medical Director, Dr. Chris Yogwan. Helen Mutfan congratulated them for surviving the incident and prayed God for quick recovery. At the Jos University Teaching Hospital, Ola, and the Bingham University Teaching Hospitals, she encouraged the families to appreciate God for his mercy, as the victims also appreciated the governor's wife for her love. Helen Mutfan urged building contractors to put quality above financial gains to avoid recurrence.
It's quite devastating. There are no words to express, what happened, but it's quite devastating. And I think it's for the public and all those who are involved in construction one way or the other to learn a lesson from what happened and do the right thing at the right time so that this kind of incident doesn't repeat itself. For those who lost their children, we are praying that God will help them and fill the vacuum. And we're also praying that God will perfect the healing of the rest of the victims.
Wife of the governor paid condolence visit to the family of Suleiman Sule, who lost two of his children, and Tize Tagwai, who also lost one of his twins. Prayers were offered for the bereaved families and survivors of the incidents. In Jos, Ijoma Ozemena, NTA News.
Plateau State Police Command says it will sustain fight against all forms of crime for a better society. The State Commissioner of Police, Emmanuel Olubemiga Adeshina, stated this in Jos while receiving the coordinator of Safe School Initiative, Alex Ladan. Bilkisunuhu reports.
Management of Plateau State Safe School Initiative, led by its coordinator, Alex Ladan, was in the State Police Command to seek collaboration with security personnel on safety of schools. He particularly mentioned abduction of students and rampant cases of gender violence, calling on the command to sustain fight against such crimes.
There is a national policy of which the Nigerian police is a critical stakeholder in its implementation by creating a coordinating office with a view to ensuring that this policy is properly domesticated and that this is given the attention that it requires.
The Commissioner of Police assures them of his commitment to supporting the activities of the Safe School Initiative, as it is the mandate of the police to secure the lives and property of citizens.
The department will continue to work with you. If there's any other areas that you want police to assist or to intervene, you let us know so that collectively we can make all the schools in Plateau State safe.
The Commissioner assures the team of his support to achieve a conducive learning environment.
And that's our contribution from Just Nationwide. We'll still continue in our Abuja studio with Ifoma. Good evening.
Many thanks, Mary. And let's turn our attention to judicial matters. The Federal High Court, Abuja, has ordered that two legal practitioners representing former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello be investigated for professional misconduct. The order followed the failure of Defense Counsel Adeola Adedipe, SAN, and Abdul Wahab Mohammed, SAN, to fulfill their promises to produce the defendant in court for trial. Yahaya Bello is facing trial for alleged embezzlement of 80 billion naira while serving as a governor of Kogi State from 2015. The court has also overruled Yahaya Bello's motion for stay of the proceedings, pending when a notice of appeal he filed before the Court of Appeal would be heard and determined. Justice Nwite said the refusal is in line with the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015, which seeks to prevent undue delay of criminal trials. The court's earlier order that Yaya Bello be arrested to face trial still subsists. In the meantime, the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has ordered the reinstatement of Philip Shaibu to his former position as Deputy Governor of Edo State. Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court, Abuja, held that since Shaibu's impeachment did not follow due process or fair hearing, the Inspector General of Police is to restore his security details to him to enable him resume his duties as Deputy Governor. He was impeached on 8 April 2024 by the Edo State House of Assembly. The People's Democratic Party is hailing the judgment of the Federal High Court, Abuja, which affirmed the nomination of its candidate, Dr. Aswe Ighodalo, in the September 21, 2024 governorship election in Edo State. The party, in a statement issued in Abuja by its National Publicity Secretary, Debo Ologwagba, described the judgment, which upheld the PDP Edo State governorship primary election held on February 22, 2024 at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium in Benin City as victory for democracy, rule of law, and well-founded affirmation of the propriety and credibility of the primary election and PDP's internal democracy. The statement noted that the judgment further validates the fact that all the aspirants at the governorship primary election were accorded level playing ground in the conduct of the Edo State PDP congresses and governorship primary election that produced Dr. Aswe Ighodalo as candidates. And as Nigerians continue to hail the Supreme Court's judgment over autonomy for local government areas in the country, the Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, ALGON, says the judgment will deepen democracy and fast-track development at the grassroots. ALGON National Chairman Muazu Meifata said the 774 local government areas in the country will comply with the judgments. Aliu Tijani reports.
In what many describe as freedom at last for the top tier of government in the country is the recent judgment of the Supreme Court that outlawed joint account and ordered that henceforth money from federation account be sent directly to local government councils. The judgment excites the Association of Local Government of Nigeria, ALGON.
Position of the 774 local government councils in the country is complete adherence and respect for the decisions of the Supreme Court.
On the status of the development areas, ALGON chairman says the Constitution does not recognize them, but however says there will be internal arrangement on how to fund them. ALGON expresses concern on the implementation of the proposed national minimum wage at the local government areas, saying there is need for upward review to enable them implement the new minimum wage. Elafia, Aliu Tijani, NTA News.
And for the next set of stories on Nationwide, let's now go over to our Ibadan Network Center.
And welcome to Ibadan. As part of commitment of Oyo State government towards its infrastructural revolution within Ibadan metropolis, Governor Seyi Makinde has inaugurated 38.48-kilometer feeder roads rehabilitation and reconstruction. Ayomiko Ajibola, who was at the inauguration, reports.
The 38.48-kilometer rehabilitated feeder roads are within Ibadan Southwest, Ibadan Northwest, and Ibadan Southeast local government area of the state capital out of the total lots of 95.58 kilometers awarded in December 2023. Governor Seyi Makinde noted that the feeder roads play a significant role in encouraging businesses and improving the economy, assuring that rehabilitation of inner roads will be extended to other zones of the state in the third quarter of the year. He reiterated that the road leading to Ikere Gorge Dam from Iseyin will be constructed before the end of his administration. The governor also directed that the road stretch from Bode to Challenge, as well as the whole of Felele Strait and Felele RAB, which were not earlier slated for reconstruction, should be included in the list of road to be constructed.
Let me also use this opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to move our people from poverty to prosperity through interconnectivity and reconstruction.
Earlier, Commissioner for Public Works, Infrastructure and Transport said the 38.48 kilometers rehabilitated feeder roads in Ibadan Metropolis, which is 40.3% of the entire 95.58 kilometers awarded in December 2023, has helped to improve traffic flow within the metropolis. He stated that in total, Makinde's administration has fixed 330.29 kilometers of roads under Ometutu 1.0 and Ometutu 2.0, connecting all zones of the state while also attending to feeder roads. In Ibadan, Ayoniku Ajibola, NTA News.
Residents of Ibadan have expressed their displeasure over the return of long queues at filling stations across the metropolis. Grace Ayonleke spoke with a cross-section of people who pleaded with the government to find a lasting solution to the issue.
With its remote cause unknown, fuel scarcity has returned to the metropolis as vehicles were seen clean up at various filling stations with the hope of buying the essential commodity, premium motor spirit PMS, popularly called petrol. While some stations were locked, others sold at exorbitant prices.
Some people sell it 800 naira, some people sell it 650. Some people sell NYSC sell petrol 580. Government should protect our local refinery so that we shouldn't rely on the imposition of the fuel all the way. And all this law enforcement, they should move around. There are some private filling stations. They have it. They are just ordinate. Because if the price of fuel is conducive for the poor, the market value will not be high. I currently have supposed to be at my workplace now, but I can't. On the long run, we will suffer for it. The economy on the long run will suffer for it because we that are making the money can't even progress the way we are doing.
Lamenting about the various ways the perennial challenge affects cost of goods and services, the people called on the government to put in place measures that will cushion its effect on the economy of the country. In Ibadan, Grace Ayonleke, NTA News.
That's it from Ibadan. It's back to you, Ifoma.
Many thanks, Kemi. Now, avoid examination malpractices at all costs as you progress in your academic pursuits, says Executive Secretary, National Senior Secondary Education Commission, to students writing the 2024 NECO examination. Zinret Digmun reports that this was while monitoring the exercise in Abuja.
In fulfillment of one of its mandates, the Commission is out to ensure that all schools participating in the examination are conducting themselves appropriately, enforcing and maintaining all standards required.
I'm satisfied with the conduct of the NECO examination. So, we have visited, 3 schools already, 2 of them public and 1, private. And I must commend the authorities of these institutions, and I must commend NECO. Also, no single case of examination malpractice.
The center is very okay, and accordingly, all of them are in unity. All the teachers are in unity, helping me because of the population.
On the issue of structural standards in schools, he says,
in the minimum standards, you are going to find the section that specify the type of buildings you should have. It will also specify the type of materials even to be used in your buildings, even the professionals you should engage. And of course, when we come on monitoring also, we will demand for all the documents.
The NECA examination, which commenced 13th June, will end 25th July 2024. In Abuja, Zenred Dingmun, NTA News.
ECOWAS nations have made various commitments and advancements in disability rights, acknowledging the unique challenges faced by women and girls with disabilities. Country-specific initiatives such as Nigeria's Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act and Ghana's Inclusive Education Policy demonstrate these commitments. Gufan Shaji Ugwanyi reports that ensuring complete inclusion, effective measures including adequate funding are crucial for the implementation of these acts.
3-day movement building and leadership workshop brought together intersectional leaders and activists who are women with and without disabilities from Ghana, Togo, Senegal, and Nigeria. The workshop aimed to promote women's human rights in Africa with a focus on the realities faced by women with disabilities in ECOWAS.
From the findings of the study on disability inclusion in the ECOWAS region, most of the data that exists currently is outdated. So we should make a deliberate and conscious effort in committing to funding researches.
However, challenges persist, and ECOWAS nations are working towards enhancing the lives of individuals with disabilities.
Ghana, our main target is women in the rural sectors. And what we do is that we teach them their rights, because we realize that most of these women do not have boldness to report whenever they are being violated.
DRF is supporting the work of 5 OPDs comprising mainly of organization of women with disabilities in Nigeria and Ghana.
With this project, will reach the rural areas.
Recognizing the intersectionality of gender and disability is vital, and we must strive to create inclusive environments for women with disabilities to exercise their rights and realize their full potential. In Abuja, Gofan Shaji Ugwanyi, NTA News.
And Maiduguri Network Center is our next stop on Nationwide with Abubakar as our guide. Hello, Abubakar.
That's true, Ifoma. It's good to see you. As Borno State government continues its quest for revitalizing the education sector, Commissioner for Education, Lon Abo Kilby, is leading the revitalization efforts, hence embarked on a school supervision tour to Konduga and Bama local government areas worst hit by insurgency to assess infrastructural standard as well as teaching and learning outcomes. Pauline Kujivana will now tell us more.
Borno State government is intensifying school supervision to ensuring quality learning outcomes and enrollment across the state. Commissioner of Education, Lawan Abawa Kilbe, began the supervision tour by visiting schools in Konduga and Bama local government areas, assessing their condition and directing necessary improvements. The commissioner started inspection of Dalori and Amarwa primary schools before proceeding to the reopened Malari Primary and Gino Day Secondary Schools, Konduga, where he commended dedicated teachers and emphasized the need for increased teachers' presence and student enrollment. He also addressed disciplinary actions for absent teachers at Kauri and directed Education Secretary to take necessary measures for improvement.
Borno State government under Professor Babagana Umara Zulum has provided us with everything we need, and as Honorable Commissioner, he has given us all the resources, all the mandate, all the powers for us to ensure that grassroots level education has been improved.
The commissioner also visited Bama, where he inspected several educational institutions, including Government Girls Secondary School, Government Day Secondary School, and Government Technical College, where he directed disciplinary action against teachers found absent from work before inspecting Old Bama and Kasugula Primary and Junior Day School. The commissioner further extended his inspection to Zainab Gimba's Second Chance Women and Girls Kids Entrepreneurship School in Bama, as well as Vocational Training Center, signifying Borno State government's dedication to revitalizing education and learning with its vision for a better future. In Maiduguri, Pauline Kujevana, NTA News.
Governor Babagana Umara Zulum is assuring corps members posted to the state of their security and well-being as he enjoins them to make positive impact in their host community and be worthy ambassadors of the NYSC scheme. The governor, who was represented by the chairman, NYSC Governing Board, Borno State, Dr. Muhammad Guluzi, stated this at the orientation course closing ceremony of the Batch B Stream 1 corps members. Harris Mohammed Goni with the rest of the story.
Dr. Mohamed Guluzi, who assured the core members of Borno State government's commitment to their safety and well-being, urged them to make adequate use of knowledge and skills gained during the orientation course to impact positively on their host communities.
Let me therefore assure you of our unbounding commitment in providing a conducive operational environment for you to realize your individual and collective dreams towards nation building.
During his ceremonial speech, the NYSC Borno State Coordinator Mohamed Adamuja emphasized the need for core members to live up to the aim and objectives of the scheme, emphasizing on regional and national unity. He enjoined them to also deploy self-security measures as taught in camps, as he lauded the effort of both the federal and state government for their unrelenting support, which contributed to the success of the 21 days orientation course.
My dear core members, I wish you a very best of luck as you set out to commence a new journey as ambassadors of NYSC scheme.
The core members in like manner expressed excitement over their calm experiences which have changed their negative stereotype about Borno State. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
This is nationwide on the Nigerian Television Authority. Ifoma in Abuja will now continue.
Many thanks, Abubakar. And next is sports updates. And as it's on Nationwide, we thank you for watching. I am Ifoma Ojinta. Bye for now.